Welcome to It's Personal Stories, a hospitality podcast. I am Rachel Humphrey, and I'm super excited to be joined today on the program by Calvin Stovall, the CEO of Iconic Presentations. Calvin, welcome to the program.
Oh, thank you so much, Rachel. Excited to be here. Thank you for having me.
Well, we are going to jump right in because we have a lot of ground to cover today and not a
Yeah.
lot of time. But everyone who listens to the show regularly knows that one of the things that I really love about the hospitality industry is that everybody's journey to leadership is different. You don't have to replicate mine and vice versa, but we can all chart our own path. So tell us a little bit about your background, some of your pivotal moments in your leadership journey, and really, how did you get to where you are today?
Oh, wow. That's a big
And you
question.
don't get the whole half hour for that one.
Actually, thank you for asking me that. It's my background. I mean, I bleed through and through hospitality and been in it pretty much my entire life. I love service and people. I started as a desk clerk at a Holiday Inn City Center in downtown Chicago. One wonderful person that hired me, her name was Karen Sock at the time. I'll never forget her because we're still friends today. And so after that, I worked at a couple of hotels in downtown Chicago as a front desk clerk. My life really just changed when I got accepted into Cornell's hotel school. That's pretty like a pivotal moment for me. I did undergrad at Chicago State, but I went to the graduate program at Cornell, and once I got out of there, everything changed. I ended up in a program. It was called a President's Associate Program, and I got hired by what was then Promise Companies, which is now Hilton. And remember Promise? I think they had Harris as part of the organization, so they hired me there, and I went. And I decided to go on the hotel side, of course, because they had Harris. I didn't really have a particular interest in the casino side. So they sent me to a fast track program in Charlotte, which, I live in North Carolina now. And it was supposed to be a 6-month training program at an Embassy Suites. And what ended up happening is it got cut short. I think I did training for about 4 months. And they were like, Calvin, we're gonna send you to a property. We think you're ready now, and we're gonna make you an AGM at an Embassy Suites. I was like, great. And it was like in Memphis, Tennessee. It's like, okay, all right, I'm cool with that. Now I'm a big city boy, so that was a different environment for me. But it turned out to be a great experience. I did a couple of years at the property there, corporate property they had right on Shady Grove, and then I ended up transitioning to corporate. I met a wonderful guy by the name of Jim Holthauser. He was running the research department at the time. And I met him after a presentation and went and chatted with him. It's a strange story. I actually cornered him in a restroom, really, but that sounds really weird. But that's really what happened. I was like, I really want to come work for you. I always want to be in a corporate environment. So when I saw him and he came and did his presentation on market segmentation, that was really what I wanted to do. And he basically said, you give me your resume, we'll see what we can do. About a month later, I was in corporate.
Wow.
And yeah, it was just like that. I was working in the research department for a couple of years. And basically, Jim, as he moved up, he took me with him. And then I became a senior director of brand marketing for Homewood Suites, and then eventually vice president. So I did that for a few years. And then, of course, Hilton got purchased by Blackstone. I made some transitions and ended up working for St. Jude Children's Research Hospital a couple of years in their fundraising arm, and then became the CEO of an organization in Memphis called the Soulsville Foundation, which was built out of the old Stax Records recording studio. Oh. So it's the Stax Museum of American Soul Music. They have a charter school on their campus as well as an after-school music program. It's still there. I love that job as well. So it's been a crazy, crazy journey. My transition into my own business, I've always loved to speak. I always loved to inspire people. I did it quite a bit when I was with Hilton doing presentations on marketing stuff, but I just always had a gift for that. And I've been using it ever since. I just had a pinnacle. I think I mentioned to you earlier, I just got back from Dublin, Ireland, doing my first international keynote. For an organization called Forest Software. They provide software for salons, beauty salons and hair salons and so forth. So I spoke in front of about 600 plus people, really electrifying audience. But I've spoken for hospitality organizations, retail, healthcare, property management. Well, we know I focus on customer experience and leadership. So we know that transcends across any industry. But I still truly have a love for hospitality, and it actually helps me, particularly when I talk to other industries, helps me have a lot of credibility because I've been there. I know what it takes to make customers happy, and I'm just something I'm really passionate about. So I just love it. And I have that. I also serve as a director of executive programs for an organization in Pittsburgh called the Advanced Leadership Institute, which we prepare African Americans and their allies for leadership positions, executive level positions. We have a partnership with Carnegie Mellon University, Tipper School of Business there. So we have a 5-month program, and we're actually kicking off the next key cohort in a couple of weeks. Wow. So yeah, so
you're keeping busy.
I'm busy. I know it's not, and I got 2 teenage boys too, so it's pretty crazy. But I'm truly blessed to be able to do the things that I love. It does keep me busy, but still super excited about everything I get to do every day. It's been a blessing.
Well, an incredible journey, and you touched on so many important lessons there. Taking risks by reaching out to Jim to ask him something, having an ally or a champion who is willing to take you along as they move along as well, branching out into other aspects. You talked about right now, many people will know you for the iconic productions, for the keynotes that you're doing. And congratulations on the international. That's so exciting.
Yeah, it was wonderful.
From your roles at Hilton and otherwise, that public speaking is a really important part of your brand, of your journey, of your ability, whether it's talking to a board, your management, your team, whatever it is. And now on the big stage, talk a little bit about your public speaking journey. How do you prepare? Any advice you have for anyone who's either hesitant to maybe take that first step or who's looking to really fine tune their public speaking?
Yeah, that's a great question, Rachel. And I guess the biggest thing for me, I'll just tell you this. I've had a natural knack of doing it. So it's just God gave me that gift to be able to deliver keynotes in a passionate way like that. But I know a lot of people don't like public speaking. I mean, they rather just like die than get up in front of people. And I get it. And but if you're particularly wanting to be influential and be able to be a leader in an organization, you're going to have to be able to do that and do it effectively. I don't think you can be an executive without it. Director or people leader, I think you do need it. So my biggest thing is just practice it. I found that because people always ask me, Calvin, do you get nervous still? I still do. Right before I go on there, and it's not the fact that can I deliver it, it's more I'm thinking about I want the people to receive what I'm sharing and that it resonates with them. That's probably the biggest issue. But as far as doing it, it's not the big issue for me. But I do say this, the more I practice, the more comfortable I am on stage.
Yeah.
It does give me a level of comfort, even though I pretty much know what I'm going to say. If you kind of put your notes together and communicate what write it down, what you really want to say and practice it, you'll do better. Do it in front of people that you trust, and that's going to give you honest feedback, and you'll get there. It's not something that I believe anybody can do it, but it does require you being able to feel comfortable on stage. People can tell when you're awkward up there. And you can, but the other thing though, Rachel, be yourself though. Be your authentic self on stage. I found that the more that I'm more transparent in who I am, it resonates with people better. I think it's cool to look at other speakers and aspire to be like Tony Robbins or whoever it is that you want to be like, but don't try to emulate them. Be who you are and deliver what you have to deliver. It's just a more authentic way to be a public speaker, and it works. People love transparency and keeping it real. from the stage. And if you do that, you're going to do fine. But practice does make perfect.
That's what I was going to say. I actually appreciate you saying to keep it real, because in doing so, you have shared that, yes, you still get nervous, and yes, you practice a lot. I share both of those same qualities with you in getting ready for public speaking. But I think people are surprised to hear that when you have a comfort level that you and I both do, speaking in front of an audience, whether it's one-on-one like this or on a big stage, people assume either that you don't get nervous or that you don't practice anymore. And neither one, I think, for either one of us could be further from the truth. So I really appreciate you sharing that and being your authentic self. I think you're right. I not only find people that I like to emulate their style of public speaking, I also learn a lot from ones I don't want to be like for whatever reason, whether it's moderators that I've seen or whether it is public speakers. Oftentimes I'll see something and for whatever reason, for me, it doesn't resonate. And then I think, I hope that I am not doing that, or I'm going to try differently to not do that in my next one. So I think you can get a lot from looking as well. I actually want to turn to something I know is very exciting for you right now, very hospitality focused, but you are now a published author and NAACP nominee that we're going to talk about in a minute. But talk to me a little bit about what that process was like for you. Talk about the book and then how you knew that you were the person that should be leading the charge there, because that is a really exciting opportunity for you. The steps have been exciting. I think what's going to happen next is going to be very exciting for you. But talk some about that path to authorship for you.
Yeah. Wow. It started really in graduate school at Cornell. I met a gentleman by the name of Evan Frazier, who is now who I work with at the Advanced Leadership Institute. He's the CEO there. But then he was an undergraduate, and he and I think 3 others were actually starting up the National Society of Minority Hoteliers. So that was where it kicked off. And they were actually having one of their first conferences. And he asked me, would I be interested in doing a presentation for the conference? And I was like, on what? He was like, on Black hotel ownership from a historic perspective. And I was like, okay, that sounds pretty interesting. And I was like, yeah, I'll definitely look into it. So I started on that quest, Rachel. And I mean, I was looking at periodical stuff on microfiche. I know.
You're going to age us both.
I know. So I was looking at stuff on microfiche and everything. So what ended up happening, I got so intrigued by the information because it wasn't a whole lot out there. It became my graduate monograph. You got to put together a monograph to graduate, and it's not as nearly as intense as a thesis would be, but it's got to be pretty substantial. And so I completed it, and it was about a 100-page document. They give you a copy in a nice black hardcover binder with gold lettering on it. At the time, it was called Hospitality Historiography. My publisher was like, no, we're not going to go with that. Like, no. So here we talk, this 93, you fast forward about 30 years, Rachel, and I was cleaning out some boxes and I found it. And I was like, wow, my monograph. And it was a friend of mine here. And she was like, what do you have? And I was like, oh, it's my monograph I wrote at Cornell. And she's like, what is it about? I was like, it's about Black hotel ownership. It starts in the late 1700s, goes through the civil rights era and blah, blah. She's like, what? We had hotels back then? So she didn't even realize it. So she was like, let me see it. And so she was reading it. And Rachel, it was like a surreal moment. She looked up at me and said, is this a book? And that was it. And I said, it's going to be now. And that was it. I called a few people. I reached out to Brown Books Publishing, who, they're a hybrid publisher, but they specialize in coffee table books. And when I gave her the manuscript from the monograph, they called me back immediately. And they were like, we want to do this book with you because we did research. There's no other book out there like this one. So that was the catalyst. And so I just went into doing additional research. I had the original monograph that I created. It might have been 8,000 to 10,000 words or so. And so when she asked me, Millie Brown is the owner of Brown Publishing, and she goes, well, we're going to need more content. We need at least 20,000. Well, do you think you can find more information? And I was like, well, yeah. Now we were thinking back then, it wasn't a lot of stuff out there. Stuff wasn't digitized yet. And so when I started going to find more information, what ended up happening, which is a nice problem to have, I got to about 90,000 words in that manuscript, which became an issue. My developmental editor was like, there's no way we're going to Calvin, you got to get this down to about 60,000 to make it a manageable read. So that was the hard part. He's like, you got to get rid of some of your favorite children. And so that was probably the most difficult part of the whole process, was deciding which stories to keep and which ones to pull out for this first one. So there's 30,000 words of content that I still have. And of course, I always get, well, when do you write the next one? I'm
like, next one, I was going to say, you're halfway there.
Like, no, not right now. I can't even fathom doing that yet, but I probably will at some point, because there were, all those stories were so fascinating, but I tried my best to pull the ones that I thought were either the first in a particular state or city, or really had a really intriguing story behind them. And of course, some people are, why isn't this one in there? Why isn't that one in there? I can't get them all in there, but I tried to put the ones in there that I think people would probably get the most from.
And what did you land on as a title?
It is called Hidden Hospitality: Untold Stories of Black Hotel, Motel, and Resort Owners from the Civil Rights days. From the pioneer days to the Civil Rights era.
Nice.
So it's a kind of long subtitle, but it tells you exactly what's in here. It is a coffee table book, so it is oversized. It's a 10 by 12, weighs about 3 pounds, and probably about 150 photographs in there. It was just important to me, Rachel, to have, I just didn't want to have text. I wanted people to visually see what was going on and look at the properties and the people's faces. I just think it's more immersive when you have images like that in it. So as you read through I had somebody tell me, because I didn't want like really tiny lettering, but the lettering is big enough. It's an pretty easy way to read through it. And so people were like, well, I'm glad you got your letters it's like larger than typical, because I just want to make people feel comfortable going through from story to story. It's really, I describe this book as a Black history book told through a hospitality lens. That's exactly what it is.
Well, and Hidden Hospitality, such an incredibly important story to be told, and really remarkable that before you, it had not been told before. So very exciting times for you, and very important, not just exciting, but important work and stories to be telling. And it actually lends itself perfectly to something which I'm certainly committing a lot of time to in you as well, which is this idea of a more diverse industry at the leadership level. And representation matters, understanding the stories and the history matter. But what do you see happening in the industry right now? And what do you think needs to happen to continue to see a greater representation at the leadership level than we're seeing today?
Yeah, look, when I was a vice president, what was it, 2004, 9, up in there, as a vice president, it wasn't hardly any of me out there at all. At least now I'm starting to see more, but of course, there's still a lot of work to do. And I just think, particularly people that are in the roles that can hire people at that level, director, manager, whatever it is, they have to be aware that what diversity and other perspectives and backgrounds can bring to a team and an organization's success. That's vital. I was blessed to have a person like Jim Holthauser. Jim Holthauser was not only a mentor, but he was also a sponsor. And there's a difference between those two. A mentor is going to help you organizationally and help you, with your career goals, but a sponsor is going to speak up for you in the rooms where you're not in, like the executive level rooms, the C-suites, and he was that for me. So I just think, really, I would love to see more, um, you know, non-colored be more open to being sponsors for African Americans and being more mentors. But it starts at the hiring level. It really does. And if you're only comfortable hiring people that look like you, it's never going to change. So you have to really think about, when you're, and I'm not talking quotas. I'm saying none of that stuff. What
Right.
I'm saying is, be aware if you got an all-white team, and you got 20 people there and nobody looks different. Everybody looks the same. Come on, women, blacks. There are so many talented people out there today, but if you're only staying focused and looking at things in a myopic view, you're not gonna. First of all, I think you're doing your organization a disjustice.
Could not agree more.
I do. I really believe you're really cutting your organization short and your team. And I just think, man, I've learned so much from people outside of my race and from within it. So I would just like to see. I mean, even in the hotel ownership side, we still only own less than 3% of all the hotels out there. So it's not just on the employee side; it's also on the ownership side. We just got to do a better job. If you're in a decision-making role, I beg of you, please start thinking about adding some more diversity to the team. Now, I'm starting to see more on panels and stuff, and like including yourself, more women and all of that. I think that's wonderful. But I love to see more VPs, more senior directors, more presidents. But like I said, I'm not going to say we're at a space like we were when I was a VP. I definitely have seen progress, but there is still a long way to go.
Well, I think you touched on some really important things there, Calvin. The intentionality of it, the diversity of thought, the business advantage. Promoting one doesn't mean demoting another.
Absolutely.
I think, much like with women in the industry, we are seeing progress, but it certainly is not where both it should be and the industry would benefit from, the businesses would benefit from. I'm going to pivot completely for a minute. You mentioned talking about having the boys at home, and they are both high school, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
Normally, when we think of work-life harmony, we think of women in the industry. And it occurred to me years ago in talking with my husband that we don't talk as much about how men in their roles also who want to be present and involved, parents who may have elder care, may have hobbies, these other things, want to be a good partner, are impacted as well. So talk a little bit about your strategies for maintaining, I hate the word balance because I just don't believe in it, but work-life management, work-life harmony. And what do you want your boys to take away from your experience as a successful business person, as someone who's had a lot of opportunities in your career to change, to continue to evolve? How do you balance those two things?
Yeah, it's great. Well, I'm divorced, so my ex-wife lives not too far from here, maybe 3-4 miles. So my boys stay with me. We alternate, which works well. But when they're with me, I'm very deliberate in the time that I spent with them. They know what I do. They understand what I'm doing. And so they're also they're very, what's the word I'm looking for? Empathetic to the situation. But they have no problem saying, "Dad, you've been working too much." They will say that to me. They're like, "Dad, come on, man. Come on, man." That's them, right? Come on, man. You need to get away from the computer for a while. So, because sometimes I will get engrossed in it, and they'll be like, "Come on, man." So I do have to, if I'm more conscious of it, because they'll make me more conscious of it too. But when we do a lot of stuff together, we go out to dinner together, we do movies, we love amusement parks, so we're always hanging out at Universal Studios, stuff like that. But they're getting bigger now. I mean, they're 16 and 18. So they're starting to have their own thing going on. But they still love to hang out with Dad, which is great. I loved your other question about what I want them to take away. Rachel, this is going to go back to the book. They saw me at this table I'm sitting at right now every single day and night, like 7 days a week, wake up at 7 in the morning, all day, every day, all day, every day. And they were like, a year, when you see that, they're like, damn, when is it going to be done, man? Come on. When is it going to be done, man? Come on.
The hay man is back.
Yeah. What are you doing? You work. So I was telling them I had to explain to them why it had to be done, why I felt like I was the one to do it. So they understood it, but they also saw it every day. For me personally, when I was able to hand them that completed book, that meant everything to me.
I love that.
Everything. Because, first of all, they saw me finish it. They knew it wasn't easy, and they knew it took a lot of time, but they know I didn't quit. It was just so important to me that they didn't see me give up on that book, because I think that would have it just wouldn't have sent the right message. But me having that book, giving it to them, they knew, they were like, okay. Now that they see the book is beautiful, it's really well done. And I think that says everything for me, for a dad to two boys, to say, look, if it's something you're passionate about, it's going to take hard work for you to finish it, but you got to finish. Don't start it if you're not going to finish it. And so now they won't have an excuse to tell me, Dad, I can't finish. Oh, yes, you can. Yes, you can. You saw me. So that lesson for me was everything, Rachel. And
well, I am noticing a consistent theme between whether it's public speaking or being a dad or working on the book, but this intentionality that you put into things is really evident. How you are going to set out for something and really be the driver of your own car. And I think that that's a really important lesson too, like you said, about starting something and wanting to finish it, making sure that you're intentional with your time when you're with them. That's all incredible. And I told you before we even started that we would run very short on time. I'm going to do a little bit of a rapid fire because there's a couple things I do want to ask you about very quickly, but we do need to wrap up. So give me one thing in your leadership evolution that has gotten better over time, or one lesson that you've learned recently that you're going to carry with you in your leadership journey.
I think I've become a better listener. I know that sounds pretty simple, but I've always listened, but I'm more, it seems like I'm more cognizant of it now. When people are speaking and talking to me, I really want to be present all the way in so I can understand where they're coming from and their perspective. That's probably one of the things I will continue to work on and try to continue to get better at. Because if you listen well and listen intently, I believe you just be a better leader and person. I think everybody wants to be heard. Everybody wants to be important. And I think one of the biggest ways that you can make a person feel unimportant is when you don't pay attention to them while they're speaking to you.
I don't think it sounds simple at all. When you just said it sounds simple, I think listening is a skill that a lot of us need to continue working that muscle pretty regularly and continue to get better at it. A lot of leaders are guided by a North Star, something, a saying or a value or something that really helps in making decisions or taking next steps. Do you have anything like that?
No, I'm not taking next steps. I mean, I'm a true believer in God, and I know I'm have a higher purpose. I do know that I'm here. I believe in my heart that I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing and what God has put me here for. So that's my thing. But as far as a mantra, my mantra is there is no positive customer experience without a positive employee experience first. That is what I live by when I speak. And I know the way, like I said, with AI and technology, we need all of those things. I think all of that is important in building efficiencies, saving money, and all of those things. I think we need them and take advantage of them, but I don't want us to forget about the human part of it. the human part of hospitality is still very critical, and taking care of your team. Your team is everything. And so I when I go out here, I'm on my drum. Take care of your team, take care of your team. So all of those things I talked about, being empathetic, having being a listener, making sure that you're pouring into your people with development and training. I still talk about all of that stuff because I think what's happened is everybody's chasing a little shiny object there, but you got to take the team. It's everything. So that's my mantra.
That's a very powerful message. I appreciate your sharing that. All right. I want to think back to Calvin, whether you're at a Holiday Inn, maybe you're heading off to Cornell, maybe you're heading home from Cornell at the end. Looking back, I love that we are all works in progress, and part of that is through reflection. So as you look back on young Calvin, what do you tell yourself today, either about how things play out for you or something you wish you'd known then that might have made your journey a little bit different?
You know what? I wish somebody would have told me this. Calvin, it's going to take longer than you think it will. And that is, I'm not impatient, but I like, let's go. And so I think what has happened over time, I have become more acceptant to accept when you want to do something really well, sometimes it's just going to take you longer. And to be patient and don't beat yourself up. I can be overcritical of myself sometimes as well. And so I'm just trying to make sure that I always try to do the best that I can, put out the best quality product or whatever it is, but don't be so hard on myself and say, I know we all have to have deadlines, but at the same time, realize that sometimes some things are going to take longer than you think they are.
Well, I'm guessing that played well into the perseverance of finishing the book from the way.
Yes, it taught me a lot of lessons. It taught me a lot of lessons, Rachel.
I love that.
There's a lot of blood, sweat, and tears in that thing, but at the end of the day, the satisfaction and the victory is there. Yeah.
Well, we have covered a lot of ground today. As you think about our message for our audience of empowering personal success, what is one thing that you'd like to leave everybody with today?
I know this is probably going to sound a little cliche, but believe in yourself. Bet on yourself.
I love it.
I just think that sometimes you got to be careful of the people you surround yourself with and who you listen to, because sometimes that's not good. Make sure you surround yourself with people, like-minded people that's going to lift you up and really truly be honest with you and feedback whenever you need some advice. But bet on yourself. Everybody has a gift. Everybody's been here to do something on this earth. Wonderful. Once you find that, man, do your thing and feel good doing it. I know sometimes it takes a longer time to find that for some people, but man, search it out, find out what you're put here for. It just changes your whole perspective and everything. It doesn't feel like work anymore.
Yeah. No better advice than betting on yourself. I say, if you bet on yourself, you're always going to be a winner. And I love that so much.
There you go. That's it.
Well, Calvin, I appreciate you joining us. Congratulations on the success of the book. Very exciting. And like I said, a very important message to be sharing in the industry now, maybe more so than ever. To our audience, thank you so much for joining us. We know you have a lot of ways to spend your time. Visit us also at itspersonalstories.com to hear from other incredible hospitality industry leaders. But Calvin, thank you so much for joining us, for your leadership in the industry and all you're doing to drive for a more diverse industry at all levels.
Well, thank you so much, Rachel, for having me. It's been a pleasure. And I wish you all the best. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Good.